Sonic the Hedgehog, also known as Project Defeat Mario. What? Though the game itself is notable for its clear influences and the innovative velocity of its titular character, Sonic the Hedgehog's origins are much more intriguing to me. Maybe it's the historiophile in me that's tickled, but there are some juicy bits to be discussed. Mr. Needlemouse, Sonic's original name in development, was a pragmatic creation. I mean by that he wasn't created out of the desire to create, with all of the freedom which that allows, imbibes within a character. No, Sonic was born because his designers were told to create him. On some level, this is true of any character in entertainment and gaming, since this is primarily a business industry we're talking about. But with Sonic, the lines are increasingly blurred. It's my perspective that Sonic's purpose as a mascot for a business superseded his significance as a creative character. Sega wanted a bigger piece of the gaming world, which at the time was dominated by Nintendo. Nintendo had revived and revitalized the industry in the West. Nintendo remains, to this day, second to none in terms of mascots, and Sega knew that in order to compete, they would need to come up with an icon as recognizable as Super Mario. I can imagine the dejected Sega execs sitting around their conference room table, feet up, collars unbuttoned and ties untied, throwing darts at a poster of Mario on the wall. Crumpled pieces of paper with the faces of protagonists from Streets of Rage, Phantasy Star, Echo the Dolphin, and Altered Beast littering the floor. Prior to Sonic, Alex Kidd was the mascot of Sega. Not too impressive. Kidd was also perceived by Sega as too similar to Mario. They needed something different, a face, for a newer, edgier generation of gamers coming into their own, which Sega wanted to milk for all they were worth. The character needed to both encapsulate Sega's marketing strategy toward older gamers and one-up Nintendo in one fell swoop. Thus, Sonic himself was born out of a business strategy and comprised from a bunch of bizarre influences with only popularity, besting competition, and money-making in mind. He was made to be a winner. Sonic boasted controls that only require one button input, while rival Mario required two. Sonic's blue color was chosen to echo the Sega logo. Developers took the head of Felix the Cat, which I always suspected, the body of Mickey Mouse, the mechanics of Super Mario, the boots of Michael Jackson, the boot colors of Santa Claus, the screw attack spinning jump of Samus, along with all kinds of elements which didn't quite make it past the cutting room floor, which were designed to pander to youth culture, breakdancing, rock star status, a girlfriend named Madonna. I had to laugh aloud when I read that Sonic's personality was based on the get-it-done attitude of former President Bill Clinton. Truth is stranger than fiction. What else could they have possibly done to make the character even more 90s cool? Portray Sonic indifferently watching Nickelodeon while wearing a denim jacket, a Dare t-shirt under that, and a slanted neon ball cap, a heavy gold chain around his neck with a gilded dollar sign, an empty can of spray paint at his feet, a Tamagotchi in one hand and Nirvana playing in a Walkman on the other, a Blockbuster Videos in the background? Sonic's inception is itself interesting, but even more so is the apparent petty disdain and single-minded focus that Sega put on tearing down Mario as the icon of gaming. Some examples I ran across. Sonic's project codename was Defeat Mario. The character had to be faster than Mario. The Sega team assured others that it was going to be better than Mario. Sonic came into being because the market was being dominated by Mario. The comparison with Nintendo's poster child was one which Sega had in mind from the very beginning. Fast forward a few decades, and how did all of their attempted assassination and monopolizing turn out? As history has shown, the House of Sega has all but come crashing down. The Genesis saw early success against Nintendo's SNES, but things caught up quickly as the sizable library of their competitor began to win the day. It was all downhill from there. Sega accumulated greater and greater profit losses with each subsequent console they released until they dropped out of hardware development altogether, ending a nearly 2-decade run in the console business with their Dreamcast. Sonic, their champion, their messiah, their icon that the perfect engine of corporate pressure dictated into existence, could not save them. Unlike Super Mario 64, Sonic's own leap from 2D to 3D proved largely disastrous, as Sonic has had a hard time adjusting to the change of the modern gaming world ever since. Take the recent receptions to Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces as just another example of that. Perhaps they were so anti-Mario that they forgot to be pro-Sonic. What comes around goes around, Sega. Now that they've failed their way out of the console market, after years of throwing shade at their competitors and suffering speed bumps in the path of Sonic the marketing whore, Super Mario is still going strong, and Sonic is steadily becoming as much an anachronism as Steamboat Willie and Bugs Bunny, relics iconic in a bygone age that were never able to catch on again. Mario has given us a variety of legendary games over the years. Sonic has given us furries? And the saddest thing about this, to me, is the fact that Nintendo lost a competitor. Video games are a part of the free market in which competition is a great thing. Competition gives us better games. But this may be a case in which competition was taken a little too far. It's not all darkness and gloom, though. Sonic had his influence. He helped spread out ownership of the market and take gaming in a direction Nintendo never could. His value as a mascot for Sega was undoubtedly high. No survey of gaming history could fail to include him and his bundled game with Sega Genesis. But where has their strategy left them? Mario has enjoyed success with the best-selling game of April 2017, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Super Mario Odyssey has been a delight. What upcoming Sonic games are there which will redeem the blue blur? I find Sega's previous behavior as reprehensible as I find their current situation laughable. Did they put all their hedgehogs in one basket, banking on a true Super Mario rival, only to end up like this? Sega tried to take down Nintendo, and here they are developing games for the Switch. Did they change things for gaming? Yes, they did. They helped usher in an age where games could be embraced by maturer players. Did they create a monster that could defeat Mario? Sega did everything they could to try to make Sonic the Hedgehog better than Mario and his contemporaneously released Super Mario World. Since then, Sega even went so far as to delist from retailers some games in the franchise that got bad reviews in order to preserve the reputation of the Sonic brand. Yeah, that really happened. They didn't stand behind their own work because popularity was more important than the work itself. That was true since the very beginning of this character. They tried to mechanize success, and so they didn't experience it organically. All for nothing? Not really. If ever there was a cautionary tale, though, this is it. In the end, their one-upmanship of Nintendo failed. Sonic may have attracted an audience early on, but that's dramatically faded over time as his edgy, cool exterior becomes increasingly layered with cobwebs. Compared to the gaming atmosphere of the 2010s, Sonic is no longer edgy. I've met many a Sonic fan that sounded desperate to erase all connections Sonic has with Mario. But the truth is, Sega was the one making such comparisons from the outset of their mascot. The Hedgehog was conceived, designed, and marketed with Mario in mind. And maybe that's why Sonic is still struggling. The character's reach was only so far as Mario. You can't build a house on mere competition. There has to be inspiration for there to be lasting appeal. And please don't misconstrue any criticism to mean that I'm treating Mario as this kind of innocent saint without a smudge to his name, or that I think Nintendo is practically perfect in every way. I don't. This doesn't happen to be about Nintendo, any more than Sega made Sonic about beating Mario. Gaming history, what a fascinating place. And really, thank you, Sega, for that degree of competition which led to the 16-bit age of rivalry, one of the best eras in gaming.